Today is a Copper John variation.
Okay, guys, we are tying up the black Copper John. This is a Firehole 718 in the vise, and we have a 3.5 millimeter matte black tungsten bead. First thing we're going to do is tie in the biots. These are just even them out, tie them in, and I actually wrap all the way up to the bead. It helps keep the body even and flat. So make sure you keep your biots straight. They do like to roll when you're pulling down on your thread. And once you get it all tied in, just kind of snip out the extra there. There we go. Just flatten out your thread there. We are going to then tie in our black wire here. But you want to keep your body as flat as you can. So tying in the black wire, I start at the bead. I actually have 2 strands of Brassie size black wire. And I will tie them all the way down to the very base of those biots. Again, keeping everything as flat as you can. The reason why you want to keep it so flat is as you're wrapping the wire up, it is going to be crucial that it's flat, because if it's not, you're going to have lumps in your wraps, and your body's not going to look even. And then here I'm just kind of building a taper with the thread. Just kind of keep going back and forth, up and down, until you got a taper that you like. You don't have to taper it if you don't want to, but I do like a little taper to this fly. All right, we're getting ready to wrap this here. Again, I have 2 strands of black wire here, and that helps keep it, it's a little easier for me to wrap than 1 strand. And this first wrap is actually the hardest wrap of the entire thing. So just make sure that you are paying attention and you're getting that first wrap flat. A lot of times you'll get a little bump and it's kind of wrapped over on itself. Just redo it, unwind it, and rewrap. And you can use the rotary function wrapping this wire, but I do not like using that. I like to just use my hands because I get more precision doing it that way. So as I'm wrapping up here, I'm just making sure they're tight. That's why I'm pushing in on the wire there. And here we go. And I actually will wrap the wire all the way up to the bead. You are going to wrap over this wire when you're building the thorax and the wing case, but I always tend to wrap my wire to the bead. And I will go ahead and kind of tie it off here, and I will helicopter the wire off. You can cut this off if you want, if you have an old pair of scissors. I like to helicopter it off because it cuts it off clean. Now I'm going to be starting the wing case here, and I add flash in mine. So this is a little piece of pearl flash. It's actually the uni flash, and it's size 14. And just kind of eyeball how big you want your wing case, and then just tie back. It's about halfway actually here on this fly. And just make sure the tinsel stays straight. When you're wrapping down, you're going to pull, the torque is going to pull the flash to one side or the other. So just make sure you're checking on that and it hasn't twisted. Next is the scud back. This is 1/8 inch black scud back. We're going to wrap it in the same way. Just make sure it's even, straight, and hasn't rolled either side there. And then when you get both of those in, now you're going to build your thorax. You can use any dubbing or peacock herl or ostrich herl, anything you want. I'm actually using the Upavon natural hollow fiber dubbing in black. This stuff is really good, and it dubs on your thread very nicely. All right, once you get that in, you're going to pull the scud back over first. You're going to tie that in right behind the bead. Again, make sure it's straight and hasn't rolled. And then after that, you're going to pull the flash over and you're going to do the same thing. You're just going to tie that in with a wrap or two. Make sure it hasn't rolled. It's even with the body. And I put a couple wraps right in front there before I snip it off. And then now we're going to tie in the legs. This is Organza ribbon. You can find this Organza in any craft store. Some fly shops do sell it too, but I get mine from the craft store actually. And you're going to tie on both sides. Just kind of trim out some of the pieces that are sticking out there. Although you're going to wrap over this anyway, so some of those are going to disappear under your thread. And you just want to make sure the legs are even. You don't want one side sticking out further than the other. And then a couple wraps in front, and then you're going to go ahead and just make sure nothing's sticking out too much, and you're going to just trim off the extra. There's lots of stuff you can do with organza ribbon, and I'll post some more videos with that. But this is just one of the examples you can do in legs. You don't see it very often, but it's a great leg material. All right, it looks like the legs are even, the wing case is even. Really, everything's pretty much done here now. All we have to do now is put a little resin on the wing case. And even that's optional, to be honest. If you don't have any resin, don't worry about it. You don't have to have it. Just makes it a little more durable. And before that, I'm just going to pluck out a little bit of dubbing. If you have a dubbing brush, this is where you'd use it. I don't have one of those, so I just pluck mine out with a bodkin. I use Solarez. This is the thin. And we're just going to use just a little dab on the top. You don't need a lot here. You just need enough to coat the top and kind of just shape it. And once you get it there, you're just going to hit it with your UV light. And you don't want to cook the resin. I've seen a lot of people when they hit it, it smokes. It will cook. You don't need to do that. Just hit it for a second or two, pull off, and then hit it again, and then you're not going to smoke the resin. There you go. There is the blacked out copper john. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions, let me know.